Hi everyone and welcome back to my channel called zuzanareacts, where I learn all things Bharat with your help and I just share my Slovak Central European point of view. And today, if I heard of any Indian state before, that would be the state of Gujarat. And in today's video, we're going to review the Think School video on whether their model is a success or a disaster. And I'm super curious to review it. I love Think School videos. I think they're just very well put together. And obviously, PM Modi is, I don't want to say come from the States, but you know what I mean. Like, he's been overseeing that for many, many years, and he came out of there as success managing it. So I'm super duper curious. But before we jump into the video,
please like this video and click on the subscribe button and turn on the notification. Thank you so much for your support.
Okay, let's do this.
आज मैं आप सभी को एक और बात याद दिलाना चाह रहा हूं। आज दुनिया वाइब्रेंट गुजरात की सफलता देख रही है।
Gujarat, in the last 2 decades, has accelerated its overall economic development and has witnessed several structural changes in the course of its economic growth.
पहली बात तो यह है कि जो 2002 में हुआ वो किसी को पसंद है, ऐसी बात नहीं है।
साबरमती एक्सप्रेस गोधरा से चल करके लगभग 1 किलोमीटर जब आगे पहुंची, तब एक भयंकर घटना वहां पर हुई।
This morning, a hotel and other establishments were set on fire. Curfew has been clamped in many parts of Ahmedabad and Vadodara.
लेकिन अभी जिस तरह से वो डेवलपमेंट कर रहे हैं,
This state is one of the most progressive states in the country. It's the fastest growing. It has a government that works. I believe that as India takes its place in the world, Gujarat will be one of its shining lights.
Wow.
Hi everybody, Gujarat has been one of the most progressive states of our country.
जब भी गुजरात की चर्चा होती है तो with reference to development होती है.
And while most of us only know Gujarat as an economic powerhouse of India, very few people know that back in 2001, Gujarat's GDP grew by only 1.1%, the agricultural growth was just 1%, and 1/3 of Gujarat's villages were facing water scarcity.
Farmers in South Gujarat are facing a water crisis due to inadequate rainfall.
गुजरात में सूखे का संकट गहराता जा रहा है। सूखे के चलते लोगों को काफी समस्या का सामना करना पड़ रहा है।
But you know what? In the next 20 years, Gujarat did something so incredible that its GDP shot up by 2,349%, from 92,274 crores in FY 2001 to 22,60,000 crores in FY 23. And today, Gujarat is the 4th largest state by GDP in India, with such a massive industrial output that 77% of India's petroleum exports come from Gujarat, 33% of India's drug manufacturing capability lies with Gujarat, and it is the largest exporter state in the country, which exports 33% of the total goods of India. And the reason why this happened is because Gujarat solved the most critical problems of governance that are paralyzing the entire country of India today. That is why, whether or not you like it, Gujarat model is an inspiration for all states of India.
गुजरात welcomes you with open arms to this summit.
An investor summit that was started in 2003 has now become an institution. The summit is known for its immense contribution to Gujarat's growth and has also set an example globally.
My participation here reflects an increased involvement of the Tata Group in Gujarat.
every year this summit is getting stronger, larger, and more vibrant.
So in this episode today, let's do a deep dive and try to understand what was the economic condition of Gujarat in 2001, what was the strategy of the government that turned Gujarat into such a prosperous state, what is so special about this vibrant Gujarat summit, and what are the lessons that other states of India need to learn from the rise of Gujarat. This is a story that dates back to 2001. During this time, Gujarat was going through some catastrophic times. A 7.7 Richter scale earthquake had just hit Bhuj in Kutch and left nearly 20,000 people dead. Then in 2002, riots broke out in Gujarat after the Godhra train burning incident, and this turned into such a massacre that it left 1,000 people dead and over 2,500 people injured. In this incident, every type of property was destroyed, starting from public utilities all the way to even industrial establishment. In fact, the total economic loss of this incident piled up to $4.5 billion.
गुजरात के कच्छ में भूकंप के झटके.
The earthquake in India has made headlines around the world.
मानो कच्छ मौत की चादर ओढ़कर सो गया हो।
At least 30,000 people have died in the earthquake. More than 1 lakh of people are homeless.
It was 2002. A train was set on fire in the city of Godhra, and India saw its worst sectarian violence in years.
Like in any riot anywhere, it's the poor who have been the worst hit, the most victimized.
This was the reason why investors were very skeptical about investing in Gujarat. On top of that, even if you took up this image problem, Gujarat was still a very difficult place to do business. And this was because of three reasons. The first reason was a terrible state of power in Gujarat. Back in 2000, the situation was so bad that the Gujarat State Electricity Board was generating a revenue of 6,280 crores and was facing a loss of 2,246 crores. And in these losses, interest costs alone were 1,227 crores. On top of that, like many parts of India, Gujarat faced frequent power outages due to load shedding. So a manufacturing unit would have to halt its production lines multiple times a day merely due to power cuts. This led to both inefficiencies and losses. The second reason was the water problem of Gujarat.
भूकंप के अलावा भी गुजरात के सामने थी बड़ी चुनौतियां। प्रमुख था जल संकट।
Farmers in South Gujarat are facing a water crisis due to inadequate rainfall.
Long queues, scorching heat, and thousands thirsting for water.
To tell you about it, there are 5 regions of Gujarat: Kutch, North Gujarat, Central Gujarat, Saurashtra, and South Gujarat. And out of these 5 regions, 3 regions were water deprived. These regions were Kutch, Saurashtra, and Northern Gujarat. And their condition was so bad that between 1950 and 2000, almost 26 years were declared to be drought years. So without water, neither agriculture nor industrial growth was possible. This was the second problem of Gujarat. And lastly, in spite of all these challenges, even if a company was willing to be set up in Gujarat, it was nothing short of a headache. Even after getting the certificates, the investor needed to approach at least 6 departments for clearance, including environment, road, water, and power. This process itself took over 6 months to sometimes even 1 full year. Now you tell me, if you wanted to set up a plant by investing 500 crores and you're made to wait for 1 year just for clearance, would you wait? No, right? You could just move to another state. This was the pathetic condition of Gujarat. So in spite of liberalization, it was very difficult to do business. And then you had other problems like road and infrastructure connectivity in the state. These were the massive challenges that Gujarat faced in 2001 and 2002. An earthquake, riots, a tarnished image due to the riots, a terrible power condition, lack of roads, and a pathetic clearance system that made it very difficult for businesses to be set up. Then the question is, what exactly happened post 2001 that today Gujarat has become an engine for economic growth?
Gujarat, in the last 2 decades, has accelerated its overall economic development.
It is a land whose destiny has been shaped by trade and commerce. For a state that's seen an average growth rate of 11% over the past 2 decades, Gujarat clearly knows how to do business.
Gujarat has been a pioneer state.
Gujarat stands out different and perhaps better than anywhere else in the country.
Well, this is where Mr. Modi introduced something called the Vibrant Gujarat Summit, which was a summit for businessmen and investors to convince them to invest in Gujarat. This summit has been held every 2 years since 2003, and with each passing year, the amount of investment that Gujarat has attracted has been absolutely crazy. If you look at this chart, in 2003, 66,000 crores worth of proposed investment came in. By 2005, it was almost doubled to 1.06 lakh crores. Then it quadrupled to 4 lakh crores, and again almost tripled to 12.34 lakh crores. And this investment came from both Indian and foreign companies. For example, in 2003, Reliance invested 10,606 crores in Hazira to set up the manufacturing plant of petrochemicals. In 2007, Aditya Birla invested 3,000 crores for its financial services project. And in 2009, Tata Motors invested 5,050 crores to set up the iconic Nano factory. So the question is, just because investors and MNCs were invited, did they just invest in Gujarat? Well, absolutely not. They invested in Gujarat because with each passing 2-year gap, Gujarat laid some solid foundations that made Gujarat the best place to invest. And these developments can be summarized in 4 major categories. The first thing they did was execute something called the single window clearance system. And this is an iconic representation of how a classic capitalistic government is supposed to function. Now, although the system existed back in 1990s, the execution was made far better post 2001. So instead of a business waiting for 6 months to 1 year just to get clearance from the government, the state introduced a centralized online portal where businesses could submit all their applications. This portal was designed to cater to multiple departments simultaneously, so you didn't have to approach each department separately. And behind the scenes, the single window clearance system ensured that once an application was submitted, it was routed to the relevant departments for approvals. And the best part was that these departments had to process these applications within specified timelines, because of which these processes became very fast. And cherry on the cake, the state government set up a dedicated support team just to assist the businesses in the application process. So these teams provided guidance, answered queries, and ensured that the businesses had a smooth experience. This is how obsessed the government of Gujarat was in serving the businesses that wanted to come to Gujarat. Secondly, they implemented something called the land banking system. So long story short, whenever an industry has to be set up, a huge chunk of land needs to be acquired from existing landlords. And since these lands are very vast, the number of landlords are very high. So all of them have to be convinced, the negotiation needs to be done, and several other formalities have to be done to set up the land for the industries. This again takes anywhere between a few months to a year to happen. But in the land banking system, the government of Gujarat came out with a simple but genius strategy. What the government...
Okay, I'll stop here. Just so you know, in Slovakia, it takes years, not a year. Like we also have that issue, especially let's say Slovakia is so small, but we still have very few highways are not what we would have wanted, and a lot of issues, apart from the fact that the government is corrupt and it's the best way how to, we say, tunnel the money is actually through this. But it's like our landscape is very, very varied, but which I feel like it's just a silly excuse because we have just Austria next and has a lot of things, but a lot of issues arise because of the lands, and it takes years, and the landlords are asking for crazy amounts of money, and then nothing is moving. Madness.
Did was the complete opposite. So even if there was no factory to be set up, a land banking entity would acquire the land from the existing landlords and keep it ready. So whenever a huge plant or factory has to be set up, immediately the land is offered to the company, because of which the wait times are reduced drastically. And after a certain point, the system of land processing became so fast that when Ratan Tata wanted to move his plant from West Bengal to another state, he had multiple offers from multiple states. But he chose Gujarat specifically because Gujarat was able to offer the land quicker than any other state. So you know what? The Tata Nano deal was wrapped up in just 15 days, and the factory was set up in Gujarat, which provided employment to 6,600 people and paved way to the establishment of multiple auto clusters in Gujarat. In fact, even recent projects like the 22,000 crore Tata Airbus manufacturing project is coming up in Gujarat instead of Maharashtra.
Ratan Tata was forced to look elsewhere, lest his dream of developing the People's Park was derailed.
First it was Singur, and now it looks like is a small place in Gujarat where the nano factory decided to relocate.
What made us decide to come to Gujarat was his promise that he would confirm the allotment of land and other facilities in a few days. Now, a few days is a difficult thing to swallow in India because it often doesn't happen. In this case, a few days became 3 days.
Wow.
Gujarat has landed a huge new deal that's worth 22,000 crore rupees.
Wow.
Tata and Airbus will manufacture transport planes for the military in Prime Minister Modi's home state.
This is how the government of Gujarat solved two major pain points of the investors, which were land acquisition and clearance delays. The second thing that the government did was fix the water problem of Gujarat. And like we saw back in 2000, Gujarat was facing a critical water problem.
Wow.
So the question is, how did the government of Gujarat fix the water problem of such a big state? Well, as it turns out, Gujarat had one major river, Narmada, which used to flow in the southern part of Gujarat, whereas Saurashtra, Kutch and northern Gujarat faced water shortages because they did not have such a large water body. So you know what? The government initiated the construction of canals which took water from Narmada to these water scarce regions. This included three major projects. The first project was the Narmada Main Canal, which was back then the world's longest lined irrigation canal of 458 kilometers. And because of this canal, today water from Narmada reaches the remotest corners of Kutch. The second project was the Sujalam Sufalam Yojana, which is a 332-kilometer canal network designed to hydrate North Gujarat and beyond.
450 किलोमीटर लांबी सुजलाम सुफलाम योजना हजारों करोड़ रुपया खर्ची ने सुजलाम सुफलाम योजना बना भी दी थी.
And because of this canal, over 2.2 million hectares of land is now cultivable. And because of this today, a drought-prone region has become a thriving agricultural region. And lastly, for Saurashtra, the government initiated something called the Sauni Yojana, which filled the 115 dams of Saurashtra region with excess flood water of the Sardar Sarovar Dam. This is how the three drought-prone regions of Gujarat were receiving sufficient amounts of water, not just to drink, but also for irrigation and industrial purposes. And this result.
Can I just say how impressed I am by this? What goes through my head is that, you know, when you have like third world countries and they're having so many issues and you're able to figure this shit out, like it's effing incredible. I love it and I'm here for it. Let's continue.
Into such an amazing agricultural output that the production of food grains increased from 5.7 billion tons between 2002 to 7 to 9.75 billion tons in 2011. This is how the face of agriculture was changed in Gujarat because of these wonderful canal projects. Thirdly, the power problem of Gujarat was fixed. Long story short, the interest rates with the banks were negotiated. Modern technology was installed which reduced transmission losses from 35.27% to 20.13%, and more power plants were built to fix the power deficit. And you know what? Because of this, the State Electricity Board of Gujarat posted its first profit of 203 crores in 2005. So they went from a loss of more than 2,000 crores to a profit of 203 crores in just 5 years. And by 2010-11, the net profit was 533 crores. This is how Gujarat laid the foundations to become an industrial state. And then came the standard procedures, which are inviting investors and businesses, and more importantly, setting up special economic zones with tax breaks and less intrusive regulations. So by June 2010, the government of India had given approvals to 60 SEZs in Gujarat, which was covering an area of 31,967 hectares. But you know what, guys? In spite of becoming the most competent state in the country, the government of Gujarat realized that they had just done the basics right, which was fix the power problem and the water problem. And here's why they realized that if they want to turn the state into a global investment destination, they have to do something absolutely extraordinary. So in order to embrace the opportunities for the next 3 decades, the government of Gujarat considered building something called mega projects. And here's where we saw the rise of the Gift City and the Dholera Special Investment Region.
मुझे विश्वास है ये भवन अपने आर्किटेक्चर में जितना भव्य होगा उतना ही भारत को आर्थिक महाशक्ति बनाने के असीमित अवसर भी खड़े करेगा.
For those who don't know, before Gift City, if an Indian company wanted to raise capital in foreign currencies, they needed to go to financial centers like Singapore or London to issue dollar-denominated bonds. This was a tedious and costly procedure because they first had to comply with the London laws and then they had to pay a premium to be listed there. And the cost of transactions, legal compliance, and other operational aspects in London or New York were very high. But now, in the Gift City, India allows companies to conduct international financial transactions even in foreign currencies within India itself. This has reduced the need for businesses to rely on foreign financial centers like New York, Singapore, or London. And you will be stunned to know that by July 2023, the total banking transactions at Gift International Financial Services Center has reached $508 billion US. And the export of services went from $1 million in FY16 to $614 million in FY20. The second project is Dholera, which is expected to emerge as a global manufacturing and trading hub over the next few years. We will cover this project separately in a video because it is yet another crazy work that India is doing. But long story short, this is a smart city with a dedicated airport, very well connected to ports and rail, has single window clearance system, and most importantly, it has the state-of-the-art infrastructure, which makes it perfect for industries. This is how, by starting from the basics with water and power problem, by fixing the clearance system of the government, by solving the major pain point of land acquisition for giant businesses, by building mega projects, and most importantly, by inviting industrialists and investors to the vibrant Gujarat Summit, Gujarat has become one of the most prosperous states in the country. And this iconic growth story teaches us 3 very, very important lessons. Lesson number 1, always get the basics right before you aim for the sky. In this case, the government of Gujarat first laid a solid foundation by fixing the power problem, the water problem, and the land acquisition issue before they invited investors to come and invest in Gujarat. Lesson number 2, when a company is customer obsessed, it can change the life of its employees and customers. But when a government is customer obsessed, it can change the life of an entire generation. In this case, because the government of Gujarat was obsessed with solving the problems of giant businesses, they were able to come out with visionary solutions like the land banking system and the single window clearance system. And because of these systems, lakhs of crores worth of investments entered Gujarat, and it changed the life of an entire generation in Gujarat. And lastly, always remember, in the 21st century, the benchmark of great governance is no longer water and power supply, but in crafting a future that is equitable, prosperous, and resilient to the challenges of tomorrow. In this case, the government of Gujarat has gone way ahead after its basic development to build a fintech city and a super smart city like Dholera in order to capture the opportunities of the next 3 decades. This is the growth story of Gujarat. And if you look...
Wow, you guys, I'm totally here for it. This was amazing video. Loved it. Loved it. I love the lessons that, you know, the reason why they resonate with me, because I've worked in a few kind of startup scale ups, and they never want to get basics right. And that, to me, is such a critical thing. I wish more people listen to success stories from India. Wow. And I think another thing that really is standing out for me is obviously it's your PM that has been managing that state. And it felt like he's done really, really, really exceptionally well. And, you know, in his decade of India, I think most of you are in his favor, obviously. And I want to say that because, you know, we love to shame people, but no one is inherently good and bad. We all have good and bad sides. So let's just all deal with that. And, you know, we all have a choice to pick who we like and who we don't. And just, you know, no one is ever all good or all bad. There is a balance, right? But it's what I actually really want to go at or get at is, you know, is that because of that success, he has been then selected as the PM of India? And like, since his rule, I guess India has clearly, you know, evolved quite rapidly over the last decade, which is his decade. So how do you then evaluate, you know, him? And I think obviously a lot of posts have been asked in the community about him as well. But is it because of that you believe that he is a great leader for India and is able to increase the economical power? I would love to know your point of view on that one, because he clearly made a success story out of Gujarat. And the question is he able to do the same, or has he already proven he is able to do the same with the entire nation as huge as India? So I would love to know your thoughts on him, and you know, like how you feel like things have extrapolated for India since he has become PM, in the comments below. And with that being said, thank you so much for watching this video. If you did enjoy, please give a thumbs up, share, like, and subscribe to this channel, and I'll see you next one. Until then, please do take care. I'm sending so much love. Bye bye.